So when you're looking for the z-scores that correspond to the middle 84%, what we have to do is we are going to draw that z-chart, or more likely we're going to kind of draw the normal distribution curve. And let's say that we put the middle here, and we know that this is a 0, and then we know that we want to cut off the middle 84% right here. And so that we know that this is going to be our z1 and this is going to be our z2. And we know that this right here is going to be this 84%. Well, if we look at this, this is 0, so we know that this is going to be a negative z, and this is going to be a positive z. And I haven't drawn this very well, but if we think about it, this is symmetric, so what that is saying is that this is 42%, and this is 42%, because I want the middle, so I'm going the same amount this direction as I am this direction, so these two z's are going to be the exact same except with the opposite signs. Anytime you want the middle value, you're going to get these z-scores to be the exact same, just with opposite signs. Now, taking this into account, if we have 84% here, remember that our total graph is 100%. And I'm going to subtract the 84% because that's how much is in this middle part. That leaves me with 16%. Well, I have two tails that are equal size, so each of these tails is going to have 8% left on each side. And so these 8% changed into decimals are going to be 0.0800. 0.0800. That is their areas. And so in order to find the z-score that corresponds to this, I'm going to actually find this one, and then to find my z2, my positive one, I'm just going to change its sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up a 0.0800 in the center of my z-chart, my cumulative normal chart. So I'm going to come over here to my cumulative normal chart. Again, I'm looking in the center of the chart. I'm not looking here along the z-scores. I want to find the z-score. So I need to look in the center here of the chart. So I'm going to scroll down, and what I'm doing is I'm going to start here, and I've got 0.002s, 0.009, here's a 0.01, 0.0304, so that means I've got to keep on going. And then you'll notice right here, I start hitting my 0.08. Well, I want a 0.0800. Okay, so the number just before it is a 0.0799. So I'm wanting this value right here, between where it changes from a 0.7 to a 0.08. Well, if I look at my chart, right here is where it changes from a 0.08 to a 0.09. I'm sorry, 0.07 to a 0.08. Between these two numbers, I do not find a 0.08 exactly. Anytime you do not find that value exactly, you have to go to the one that's the closest. So if I look at these two values and I have to go to the one that's the closest. Well, I notice that this one is 8 points away. Well, this one, if I do the subtraction, that one's actually only going to be 7 points away. So I'm actually going to end up using this value. It's slightly less, but it is actually closer to the value that we actually want. Only by one value, but it's still closer. We want the one that is closest to our values. So then to find my z-score, I'm going to follow it out here. So I get a negative 1.4, and I'm going to follow it up to the top. And so I'm in my second column, and notice I have a 1 in that second place, so I get a negative 1.41. So this is the z-score. So my z1 is going to be a negative 1.41. My z2 is going to be a positive 1.41. Now I can do this with any percentage. For example, if I wanted a 76%, well basically, and remember I'm looking for the middle 76%. Basically what I would do is I would take 100 minus the 76, and I would get 24%. So that would be what was left over in my edges. And so then I would take 24% and divide it by 2 because I have 2 tails, which would give me 12%. I change that into a decimal, so I get 0.1200. So this is the amount that is in the tail. So in other words, this part right here. After I have subtracted from 100 and divided by 2. That's the part that is in the tail. So this is the number that I would look up inside the middle of my chart. So this is the number that I'm going to look up inside the middle of my chart. And so I'm going to come here. This time I am looking up a 0.1200. So I come here. Here's the 0.08 that we found. Notice here we change from a 0.11 to a 0.13. So I know it's going to be in these 2 rows. Here's a 0.12 and a 0.13, but I want it between the 0.11 and 0.12, because remember I'm looking at a number line, and 0.11, 0.12, 0.13, I want between here. So that means I'm going to keep on going. Right here. And here we hit an interesting situation. Right here's where it changes from a 0.1210 and a 0.1190. What happens? This one is 10 points away. This one is actually also 10 points away. They are equal distance apart. So in this case, I'm going to find both values. This would be a negative 1.1, and if I followed it up, it would be a 7. And the other one would be a negative 1.18. Now, each one's a little bit different. What many tend to do is I tend to take the average of these two. And so I'd get a negative 1.175. Some just go to the larger value. Some go to the smaller value. So you might want to kind of check, because I know that a lot of them just say round to 2 decimal places. So that would kind of go to this value. So that's going to kind of be a little bit trickier whenever it's equal distance apart like that. To be the most accurate, it would be this. just kind of watch Connect Math on that one. Okay, but again, you can do this with any middle percentage like this. Just subtract it from 100, divide it by 2, and then look up that value from the center of the chart. Let me know if you have any more questions.